Now, in other news, the gym chain Fitness First has run into trouble. It will offload half of its gyms to other operators over the next 6 months. That's in a bid to tackle a £600 million debt pile. Well, the chain, which employs 1,500 staff here in the UK, wants the landlords of the remaining sites to support what's known as a company voluntary arrangement, or a CVA, whereby they will receive less rent in return for a payout if the firm returns to health. Well, so are the landlords happy about that arrangement? Well, joining me now from our central London studio is Liz Pearce. She's Chief Executive of the British Property Federation. Liz, we've heard today that two of the biggest creditors to Fitness First have backed this plan. Are others likely to follow suit?
Well, it's always difficult to say exactly how creditors will react, but certainly the way this has actually been managed, the way in which the creditors are being consulted, the openness of the whole process, all looks as if it'll work in favour of Fitness First, and that the creditors, the landlord creditors, will probably go along with it.
As you say, Fitness First has been quite transparent about doing this, opting for a CVA. Just explain to us why they may go down this route and not simply go straight into administration, try and sort themselves out and then re-emerge, some would say, stronger at the end of it.
Well, there are different ways of actually handling an administration, and from the perspective of sort of keeping your creditors on side, negotiating with your creditors, actually having a good ongoing relationship with which to move forward. Clearly a company voluntary arrangement is a lot better than this thing we call a phoenix pre-pack, where basically they just go into administration and then a sort of new management arises phoenix-like from the ashes with just the bits of the business they want, having dumped everybody else along the way. The landlords find that intrinsically a very unsatisfactory process. You've got to remember, landlords are businesses just as much as the occupiers of these premises are businesses. So if landlords suddenly lose a great slug of their income, they've got their own business to worry about, their own debtors, their own shareholders, their own sort of pensioners and savers who are invested in them.
Yeah, briefly for us, I mean, as you said there, the underlying problem is simply the fact that revenues are falling, people aren't spending as much. For landlords, not just in Fitness First case, it is a very difficult time out there. Do they really have any choice but to accept lower rents?
I think probably in the long run we are going to see a repricing of the market, which is how the landlords would describe it. But I would say there's a huge variation. There's an awful lot of retail that is still doing incredibly well, and so obviously some landlords are doing better than others depending on where their stores are. But it is a tough world out there.
OK, Liz Pearce, the Chief Executive of the British Property Federation, thank you for your time. Now I just want to show you some market numbers.